decided to share with you the Sacred Temple, a sacred school for remembering the essence of who you are. The Sacred Temple also includes the Daughters of Eden, Sacred Temple for the Divine Feminine Light. We walk in a sacred time. We live in a time where the energy of this experience we are in, the realm that we are in, is changing. And I've always called this the sacred time of the changing suns, because in actuality, much of the light in our planetary experience is shifting to such a degree that it is causing a sacred time of ascension and change to occur within our evolution. We walk and live in a time of great spiritual evolution. And thus we are called now more than ever to remember the true essence of who and what we are as spirit, and to understand and practice remembrance. We are done with the time of forgetting. We have been in a time, an age of darkness, where we have lived without the knowledge of who and what we are. We have walked under the stars, not understanding what they mean to us. We have been surrounded by God Force light, and we have imagined ourselves as separate to that, separate to the God Force that we are each a part of. You have forgotten that you are holy creation. You have forgotten that if you are a woman, there is a sacred temple in your womb that creates and intends and is the landing place for life. And no matter if you are a man or a woman, you have lived many, many lifetimes here only to come to this time now to remember for yourself, truly remember, and to fulfill your heart's highest intentions in this incarnation. We actually go through a steady, well-practiced and understood sacred evolution of our soul for many, many lifetimes and many eons. Since the end time of the time known as Atlantis or Lemuria, many thousands of years ago in the previous eon, we fell into a state of unconsciousness or lack of awareness about the higher light that we come from. Before this time, in the times of Atlantis and Lemuria and beyond, we had sacred schools of remembrance and spiritual education and sacred ethics that we lived by and that our society and our community could live by to orient ourselves in our lives and in our larger collective community correctly and in accordance with the rays of light, the suns in our planetary system and the light within you. When we lost those temple schools and we lost our older society, our spiritual society, we lost ourselves. We fell into a great time of forgetting. We are meant to walk in remembrance, and we live in the sacred time of the changing suns right now. Your soul came to this time right now because your spirit, your being knew. You knew that this would be a time where the light would change and your DNA, which holds the codes of your remembrance and the full expression of your radiance, as a radiance of the God Force that you are. You came to this time now because you knew that the light would activate your DNA and help you to awaken, invite you to awaken. And that is this invitation now. We can no longer walk through this life in an experience where we just sort of don't fully get that we're spirit and we kind of just imagine that we're separate. We will no longer be able to operate under the intense light that is here right now in that kind of consciousness. And in your heart, it's not really what you want. We are not meant to live through a lens of attachment, a lens of identity, of human personality only. That is a mechanism and a gift that we can utilize to help us create and expand in this lifetime. Yet we have been caught up in it way too much, to the point that we have forgotten that we are a spiritual substance first. Before anything in your life, you are a radiance of light. You are a point or an expression of the God force. You are an arrangement of harmonies, of frequencies that is playing one beautiful song that you call you. And it is so holy and so beautiful. And we are here to remember in this time now. And remembrance means that you embody that radiance, that actual spiritual substance. It becomes you. And you release and you shed the conditioning and the trap of attachment that is layered over our current consciousness. You do not need it. You do not need it. We are here to walk as spirit, as expression of spirit. And I'm so excited to offer this sacred school of remembrance for you all, because it is time that we remember. We must bring back spiritual society. We must have a place for our spirit to develop. And we must be taught by those who truly remember. There is an emerging leadership in the spiritual community. There is an emerging return of when we had a spiritual society that had earned leadership and earned positions where the people were ethical and the councils were wise and good, and there were seers and priestesses who could speak to the environmental conditions that we lived in. So this is one of the main missions of the sacred temple, is for us to encourage through temple. It is my intention to encourage and deliver the return of spiritual society, the return of a spiritual structure, for us to have information in the community about what is going on planetarily, what is going on energetically. How can we cultivate our life force into our bodies now? And how can we create a world and live as a society that is in operation and harmony with our planet? Because when we are out of touch with the rays of light and we are out of touch with our planet, we do not remember and we do not operate healthfully and correctly. And so our entire society suffers. We have to do a massive reboot of everything. So one of the big intentions is for us to reclaim spiritual education, reclaim spiritual leadership in the community, and to offer service. I see my role as a seer or a channel or a teacher as a service. My gifts are for each of us to receive that higher dimensional light and to understand and remember who we are. And I have created the sacred temple in response to a deep calling from spirit, from Isis. One day I was sitting on my couch remembering the temples of Isis, and she whispered to me, "Rebuild the temples. Rebuild the temples." And at first I thought that she meant rebuild the temple within me, the emotional temple, and I did. I wove myself back together from extreme suffering that I had in the past. I wove myself through the paths of remembrance and the paths of alchemy. I did spiritual training with my spirit guides to help me understand what it is to weave the life force back into the body and to have an embodied remembrance. I also trained with Isis so that I could reclaim my womb space. I trained with the goddess, many different goddesses actually, to dance in the goddess and to embody the goddess light once more, that holy light that has been lost from our society but is returning now under the rays of Venus. The emergence of Venus has pushed through the veil into our planet now to allow her to be soaked in Venus energy, for us to divinely step into the divine feminine light and embody that fully, to help our planet, our mother, come into her highest ascension through a birthing process that requires balance and requires a highly feminine process such as a death and a rebirth. It is women who are going to help lead the shift into ascension simply because of our nature, of our experience of being a being of rebirth, of resurrection, death, and evolution. So this is another intention of the sacred temples, is for us to return the divine feminine light to the bodies of women everywhere and to the body of our mother. In this way, we highly facilitate ascension. Women are an intrinsic part of spiritual evolution. Spiritual evolution is divine female evolution. This is what must happen for spiritual evolution. And that is why we are answering that call now, sisters. So these are a few of the main intentions of the temple. And it is also simply, I really wanted to create something where I could just give. So whilst there are paid offerings in the temple to help the temple run, I'm also running free community classes that I really invite you to be a part of. I really want us to return to having a really big experience of being in temple together, to remember together. Everybody has been walking this path individually. A lot of people in the spiritual community, I know we're all kind of going along our own little path, and we're coming together, and we're starting to come together in sacred spaces like women's circles and men's groups and ritual spaces. We are intuitively, naturally, instinctually responding to that evolving light and starting to create spiritual community again. And it's going to be the full evolution of it, or full expression of it, is going to be the return of temple schools and the return of temple. So these can be schools of spiritual education, these can be creative spaces of magic, these can be healing spaces, and just coming together and community. And I'm so excited about this because this is a bit crazy to me. I never was like, I'm going to make a school, but it literally makes so much sense with who I am and my entire life. And my true heart song. My true heart song has always been, how can I give in a way where I'm also supported to give? And what can I give? And when Spirit asked me to do this, it has been a great challenge. It has been such a learning experience to actually birth something through myself. I had to go through many divine feminine, particularly initiations. I had to fall through the black sun. I faced traumas and unprocessed pain in my light body that I'm pretty sure I was very deeply suppressing and would never want to face again. Yet going through that portal transformed me into the woman that you see now. If you guys might be wondering, where has Beck been and she hasn't made some content for a while, it's because I've been evolving and evolving and evolving, and going through intense resurrection, death and rebirth, and that's a very intense process. But it has helped me to reclaim who I really am once more, my full expression, and that's what I want to offer to each of you. So another part of the why I'm making this, the biggest why is because I believe in your sacred right to remember the essence of who you are and to live as the spiritual being, the spiritual essence that you are, the radiance of light that you are, and for that to be an actual tangible experience, for you to really know, like, I am a spirit first. That's what I'm made of, and that's what I'm here to express, and to see how much of my spiritual light I can have in this incarnation. That's really what your soul path here is about. And then if we ask, why does soul do that? Why does light do that? For joy. The purpose of life, and even the highest purpose of the temples, right, is for us to really become that full radiance. And then we ask, why does this exist? Why does the God song exist? Why would we become full radiance? For nothing other than joy. The purpose of life, the purpose of all life being alive, is for the joy of existence. It is for the joy of existence. And it is something that you will remember deeply in your cells, in your body, as you come into the passionate love of your own spirit. So, the temple is created for this. The temple is created for women everywhere to remember who you are and to reclaim that deep, natural magic that women have that works with synergy, nature magic, and the third force. We have so much inside of us. We have so much to give, so much radiance of blessing to shine through us and to help heal ourselves and this world that we each love so deeply. You love the world so deeply, that's why you came here. And just you awakening your sacred Venus pathways within you, dear sister, just you remembering in your own path helps other synergies align and remember, and we become a collective womb space, and we become a collective birthing. It's very, very cool and magical. And it's just, if you fucking love magic, then I implore you to remember your divine feminine light, and we'll do that together. Okay, but so also this is about spiritual evolution and the return of what that is, and so that also our healing communities, in our spiritual community, a lot of us we're like, I'm doing this coaching program and I'm doing this thing to reach this goal or to create this thing or to heal this thing, which is beautiful and perfect. But then we need to look at, especially when we think about ethical leadership, we need to look at, why are we doing that? What are we creating? Our emotions are a doorway to our holy or our essence-based emotions or our essence-based resonance. So it's great to feel good and to feel happy, but the cycle of suffering is the avoidance of pain and the following of pleasure. And the cycle and the trap of attachment and the nervous system and what is not spirit is to seek those higher states. Whereas what I really want to bring to us is the embodied remembrance of a wholeness that is already within you, that is inclusive of higher states. But you do always experience ebb and flow. And in the nourishment of your spirit, we have peace with that. We have a wholeness with that. And we have a great celebration and reverence for every color of the emotional spectrum. So another intention here is for us to really embody the true healing experience of embodying your spirit and your wholeness. And then I just want to share with you on a personal note, for me, my experience in my past was coming from very deep, dark suffering. I grew up in an abusive cult environment. I grew up in the opposite energy to what I stand in today. I grew up in deep shadow. And for the longest time, even after I escaped that experience, I was in deep suffering. I had extreme PTSD, dissociation, and just psychic injury from what I went through. And I would pray constantly. I would pray, please heal me. I don't know how. May there be love. I don't know how. May there be peace. And that giving up and surrender into my own spirit and my own essence, because there came a point where I'd been trying to control my healing process and that wasn't working anymore, and it was never really working, and I had to surrender. And when I did that, I recognized that, well, I began to heal. I began to go through training with my higher self and my spirit guides to allow my life force back into my body, to practice alchemy and remembrance in the way I'm offering to you now. But I really had to find the ability to surrender to spirit, and I had to learn about alchemy, and I had to truly remember for myself. And that was this path of deep alchemy and deep prayer. Because I could look at my life and I could look at so much darkness and so much horrific things that happen, and I would look at that and then look at what I was transforming and becoming love and becoming love and becoming love. And I started to realize that my life is a sacred prayer. And I realized too that every life, you are a sacred prayer, that your higher self, which is really your just your wholeness, your radiance, that being intended and incarnated you the same way that you pray for or intend the things that you want to manifest in your life right now. You are a holy creation or a holy prayer, a holy manifestation by a light that you are as well in your wholeness. And they sang you into existence. They called the correct frequencies into existence, inclusive of the life that you incarnated to. So I started to understand that I stepped into and walked into darkness because I needed to learn everything that I've learned now to offer it to you, to have my actual existence, my being, to be a sacred prayer. So that every alchemy that I do, every wound that I've faced, every darkness that I've faced could become a gold wisdom or a gold teaching or just gold in the collective. And that's what all of our healing paths are. And my life became a sacred prayer, and my life became about every day getting up and transmuting pain so that I could then write about it or create about it or share it with you. And that has been my life for the last 6 years, but before that approximately 10 years. That's all I've done with my life. And this is my prayer. This is everything. This is what it was all for. It was so that I could create this offering for you now, where I can tell you I have been into the darkest darkness, and I know what to do with that pain that you feel in your body that hurts so much, or those memories that hurt so much. I know what to do with it, and I know how to transform it. And let me show you and let me teach you, because we are here to live in joy. And we are here to live in our spirit first. That's where your joy is. That's where your wholeness is. That's where everything you've ever looked for in your life, it is there in your spirit inside of you. And I know, because I felt so far from that. That sounded like such a high teaching that I couldn't conceptualize of. And then I became one of those people that's offering these high teachings. But, this is why I do what I do. So that I could become a sacred prayer, and that the sacred temple and the daughters of Eden is a sacred prayer or a sacred offering. It is my sacred offering to you and for my life today, now. This is my life's work right now. And I'm so happy about it. Oh my gosh. And if it gives to one person your light and your radiance, if you find that in yourself because of something that I created, then my whole life experience of that darkness, of transmutation, and of being incarnated right now has been worth it. So thank you for being here. And please watch this space, because we're going to have our first, the first free class is happening very soon. I'm so excited. I'll probably cry again. Yes, the first free class is Love Over Fear. and choosing love and choosing the remembrance of love through the invitation or initiations of Venus. Because Venus provides us, amongst lots of different energies, provides us with the invitation of remembrance, especially at this time right now. Venus is a bit of a doorway planet, or a doorway energy, or a gateway to that higher light that we're stepping into now. So a lot of our remembrance and our soul's remembrance can come through Venus. And I wish to give this to you to choose love over fear, so please join me for that. The Daughters of Eden Temple is also offering a holy transmission, a sacred sound transmission, for you to have holy remembrance of your essence of divine feminine light in you. And I'm going to have the details of this in some links below, or wherever you're seeing this, I'm going to share it. But for right now, you can find me on Instagram at @thesacredtemple_. And even just send me a message, you guys. I love to connect with you. And thank you for being here. And I'm sending you so many blessings right now. And with your sacred permission, you might receive this transmission of energetic remembrance and gratitude of the sun and the stars that have come together to bring you and I together right now, and to bring us all into this sacred time of evolution.